Hello and welcome back to the Brick Den. Today I've got the second update for my Scarif mock based off of what we see from Rogue One. Now, the jungle section is mainly finished from the last update. There are still some things I need to do which I'll speak more about later in the video. And the citadel is one of those main things which you can see is still not been built whatsoever. And there are still some spaces left to the side which I wanted to be water, but unfortunately I did as much water as I possibly could until I ran out, so I'll have to come up with something else for these sections, but it won't be too hard. But moving down to the front, you can see the landing pad, which has been tiled as I said it would be in the last update. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. There's still going to be quite a lot of work done to this section, as it's going to be covered in crates and details which are not done that are going to provide cover to the troops, because there's quite a bit of a battle going on the landing pad at the moment. All the positions of the minifigures aren't final. I'm sure they'll change in the future as well. You can also see these towers at the sides, and there's going to be lights on top of here instead of this satellite dish. I'm just saving all these details till later because I need to make sure I've got as many pieces as I can to when I build the Citadel's tower, and then with all the pieces I've got left I'll make all the extra little bits. That's usually how I build these big mocks. I've also, from the Bricklink, I've been able to swap a couple of pieces out that were on the rail speeder station, so they're dark bluish grey now instead of light bluish grey. The track has also been tiled, and I think this has turned out extremely well. It gives it a nice clean finish, and also I've built the rail speeder, which I'm quite happy with, but it's not as good as I wanted it to be. Unfortunately, I couldn't put any doors on it, as I wanted to keep it as small and simple as possible. And also, I wanted to make it have power functions, so you could electronically control it to go up and down the track, because I always try and include power functions in my mock, but unfortunately it wasn't big enough to fit any power functions in it and have an area for figures to be able to fit. And then I thought maybe I could have it be pulled up and down the track with some sort of string, but then it just became that it would only be able to go one way, or I could probably come up with some function for it to be able to be pulled both ways round, but then it would just become too complicated, so I went off the idea. I might try and include some power functions later in the mock, but I'm undecided at the moment. Now moving on to the big thing, which is all of these palm trees that I've added. I've tried to make the jungle areas as dense and thick as possible and have loads of foliage. Now with the trees, I've tried to find as many of the bendy tubes, because I think they make the palm trees look much more organic. I've also included different types of leaves because it makes it much more varied and therefore realistic. On the left hand side of the mock, the foliage on the ground is much denser, and that's why there's a bridge that goes over it, which I showed in the last update. I'm very happy with how the overall look of this area turned out. There's also the mud path as well, which I think quite effectively cuts through the trees and the foliage on the ground, and you can see some Rebel Alliance figures running through there, sneaking up on the rail speeder station. Then the mud path and the bridge lead back to another landing pad where I've built a custom Imperial cargo shuttle mock. It was very challenging to build, but I'm happy with how it's turned out. Now I won't go into any more detail on that, as it's going to get its own mock showcase, which is going to come out in 2 weeks time, which I'll highlight all the features of that build and the building process that went into that. Moving over to the right hand side, the canopy over here is much thicker, however the foliage on the ground is much thinner and sparser. There are some areas where it is just as thick as the other side, but you can see the trees are in that sort of row pattern like we see in some areas on Scarif in the film. There is also this opening here where there are some Rebel Alliance figures attacking this ATST, and there's also, I've added some fire details just to add some more variety to the mock. So I think that brings this video to an end. As I said earlier, stay tuned because in 2 weeks time I'm going to have the mock showcase for my custom Imperial cargo shuttle mock. But for now, if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to leave a like and a comment as well. And if you don't want to miss the next update and the mock showcase for the Imperial cargo shuttle, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to get notified when those videos comes out, you can click on the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching.